Audio Jungle.
Hey guys, I'm Munazil. Welcome back to Thwip. Season 1 had just ended and we're starting Season 2. In Season 2, we're trying to bring Thwip up to a level that we aspired to bring it up to when we started this. And it's been hard work. I just want you guys to understand why we do this. We don't do it for money. There's no money involved. We're not corporately sponsored. We shoot in JCC, but we don't get paid by JCC. We do this because we love it, and that's what we want to bring to you. We are curators of comics. We are curators of geekdom. We've been geeks for such a long time that we want you guys to enjoy what we enjoy. You might not agree with us, you might not even watch our shit. We don't really give a fuck. We mostly do it because we want to do it. And we want to bring you the best stuff that we have read, and we want you to read it and be enlightened. This is not an easy thing to do, coming up with a show every week, coming up with an episode every week. None of us are professional videographers or have any background in acting or show production or anything. I had to learn Adobe Premiere from scratch when we started doing this. All of us have 9 to 5 jobs, well 9 to 7 jobs. Even then we take time out of our busy schedule of the one day weekend that we get so that we can come and do something for you guys that you guys might actually enjoy. A lot of you have shown us so much love over the last year. It's been amazing, and I don't want to call you guys our fans, more like friends, and we're absolutely incredibly proud that we have made some awesome new friends via Thwip. What's going to happen today in today's show, I'm not going to even call this episode 1 of the new season. We're just going to do a segment today, which is comics you should be reading. Basically, we're going to talk about comics that are outside the genre of the mainstream superhero comics, or a little bit of a different take on superheroes, outside the whole Marvel versus DC mainstream bullshit. What we're going to talk about is comics that we love, but maybe they don't fit the generalized public's idea of what comics should be. Ahmed's not here today, unfortunately, and therefore I'm not calling this episode 1, I'm just calling this episode 0, let's say. So let's start this new year off with a new episode of Thwip where we talk about comics that we love.
So guys, first off I would like to talk about Planetary. It's a self-contained book, it's 24 issues with a couple of one-shots, and it's got some Batman crossovers and stuff, but those are outside the story. The main story is 24 issues, it's self-contained. It's written by Warren Ellis and the art is by John Cassaday. It's a fantastic story. I cannot tell you how good it is. You have to read it for yourself. It's basically focused on three superheroes who are basically archaeologists of the impossible, and they go around the world finding out what's wrong with the universe, and they try to fix it or find solutions to it. The bad guys of this is a very uncommon bad guys. You won't expect it until the very end when you figure out who they are. I don't want to give away the twist, but it's fantastic. Also, it's got great art. The colors are really vibrant. It pops out. It takes place over a lot of different places in the past, in space, and they have some crazy stuff going on. It's very sci-fi. It's very human, basically. And the stuff they do is like you will not find it anywhere else in a comic book. It's very extraordinary, suffice to say. So I hope you guys read it, find it. Get the CBR. If you can't get the hard copy, read it. It's very smart. It's a great story. So I hope you enjoy it.
The second book we're going to talk about today is Irredeemable by Mark Waid. Irredeemable is such a hard word for me to pronounce, particularly now that I have a cold. It's by Mark Waid and it's drawn by Peter Krause. Irredeemable is one of those series that will make you look completely differently at superhero comic books when you're done. Mark Waid is one of the most prolific and prominent writers in comics, and his favorite character is Superman. So he started with a very simple premise of what if Superman went rogue? Would we really be able to stop him? And what he would do to this world and to the Justice League in general, and how it would evolve into a complete all-out war against one super being who's essentially a god. And it just takes you to places you don't really think about when you're reading Superman, and what Superman can actually do, and how big a threat he would be if he actually went rogue. The version of Superman that Mark Waid writes in Irredeemable is called Plutonian. And we see this guy who was a hero, who wanted to be a hero, and he is Superman basically. And then he just can't take it anymore and he snaps. And then he goes on a rampage. It seems like a simple premise, but Waid has packed in tons and tons of twists and turns till like the final moment you're like grasping for breath, and the ending will leave you smiling. It will absolutely leave you smiling, and it gives explanations of what Superman's powers are in a level that we don't really think about. You know, how he flies, why does he have skin that's impenetrable, why is he literally basically a god, where his strength comes from. All these explained beautifully in Irredeemable. It's a book that we cannot recommend enough for people to read. If you're a fan of superhero comics, if you're not a fan of superhero comics, if you want a good story to read, Irredeemable is it. So I hope you guys will hunt it down and read it.
So the next book we're going to talk about is Authority. It's written by Warren Ellis and art by Bryan Hitch. Basically, the Authority, they start off in another book called Stormwatch. And over there we get their introduction, and they're also a team in that book, but they're not the prominent team. So from there, after that book ends, basically we get the Authority. And Authority, basically they are a Black Ops team who basically become so powerful that they decide, you know what, fuck it. We don't care what the government thinks, we don't care what people think. We are the superhero team of this world, and we are the ones who are going to protect it. So that's from that point on, they just don't care what you think. If you're a bad guy in that universe, they will kick your collective asses. Also, it's also a very controversial book, because it's the first book where the Superman character and the Batman character, they're gay. They're also a couple, and basically these superheroes, they're an offshoot of the JLA, but it's like they're led by a Nick Fury-esque character, but they're the JLA essentially, and they're very extreme versions of the JLA. They're not like your regular heroes, you know. They like one of the characters, he gets drunk, he's into drugs 24/7, and then this chick, they're very weird. They're not your offbeat regular characters. They're very offbeat, but they're very, very strong. It's written by Mark Waid. The story is fantastic. It's very action-packed. It's very gripping. It's very gory, bloody. They do some really awkward, weird stuff. And it's kind of supplemented with Bryan Hitch's art. It's fantastic. Bryan Hitch, fresh off from JLA. He does fantastic art. The colors are it's colorful, but it's dark. So, you know, like, you have to see it to, you know, like it. If you, I'm sure if you open the book, you will like, wow, it's just fantastic art. I cannot explain it. I'm not that good of an artist, but it is fantastic. So I hope you read it. It's very, very good. The second volume is also by, there's also a second volume. It's by Mark Millar and Frank Quitely. It also delves deeper into their character, their action, everything about them, and it's also very fantastic. It's a joyride. So I hope you read it.
Right. So you just heard Navid talk about Authority, which was drawn by Bryan Hitch. I just wanted to point out from an artist's point of view, that's where the term widescreen comics came from. It was the first time that you saw double page spreads in a widescreen format, which you later on went on to see in Ultimates, which was written by Mark Millar and Bryan Hitch. So just for that reason alone, you should be picking up Authority and reading it. And the book I'm going to talk about is by Grant Morrison. It's called Doom Patrol. Pretty much the most genre-defining run on any book in the history of comic books ever. It made you look at a certain group of ragtag heroes in a very weird and not settings that you are actually used to in superhero comics, and these heroes, they take it and they make it weirder. Doom Patrol, for a lot of people who don't know, are the inspiration behind the X-Men. That's where the X-Men inspiration came from with the Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol, when Grant Morrison got his hand on it, he basically said, I want a clean slate, I want to do this all over again, I want to do it in my style. Doom Patrol is hard to explain to you as a viewer or as somebody who's even listening to us talking about Doom Patrol as to what it really is. think about the darkest, dingiest, strangest corner of the DC universe that even the JLA is afraid of. That's where Doom Patrol operates. They work with the stuff the JLA says, okay, this is too weird for us. Automatic poetry. You have Jack the Ripper being a villain. You have a guy who lives in an alternate dimension who stores souls and butterflies. You have the main hero is basically a robot wearing a leather jacket. There is a character called Reed who's not a man, who's not a woman, who's nothing. She's in bandages all the time, or he's in bandages all the time. And it's just fantastic how amazing this bald Scottish motherfucker's mind is. And that's what you get when you read Doom Patrol. It's like one of those songs you've been listening to all your life and it doesn't make sense. And then suddenly you're older and then you listen to the song and you're like, oh, that's what that means. Doom Patrol is a revelation. I really, really honestly believe you should go out, buy it, have it in your collection. Your kids should read it. You should just have it. This segment's called Comics You Should Be Reading. Doom Patrol is a comics you should be having. It's been reprinted over and over and over and over again. You can find it in many different formats. I think there are some formats available in JCC. The hardcover or the TPBs are available, or you can get the omnibus, whatever. So that was our recommendations for what you should be reading this year. So hopefully we can do this every other week where we tell you what you should be reading and give you a sort of a reading list or reading task for the whole of this year. So that was us coming back this year.
Yep.
So hopefully you guys will, be on the journey with us as we grow and, try to do some more wonderful stuff.
Yes, and I hope you'll stay with us.
So we'll see you next week.
See you next week.